Hello everyone, I'm Brian and welcome back. Alright, so this is hopefully the last part. I need to stop talking for a little bit longer and let's go ahead and get started.
Prayer, pleasant, what I like to do now. And Shreya, what I know is good for me now. If they're same, what I like to do and is good for me, it's very easy for life becomes very easy. But often, unfortunately, they are not same. What I would like to do and what is good for me, I know, these two are often different. For example, how many of you, if you could, I'm not asking you whether you do it or not, but if you could, you would like to wake up at 4 o'clock and meditate and exercise and study or whatever, each day in the morning, would like to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. How many of you would like to do it? If you could do it, how many of you would like to do it? So many? More than 90% of the audience? If I could do it, I would do it. How many of you like?
You can do it. It's not whether you could, it's you can do it. It's a matter of would you do it? Or do you want to do it actually? Because you can do it, but it's just a matter of whether you want to do it.
Sleeping comfortably at 4 o'clock in the morning, especially on a cold winter morning. How many of you like it? Acha lagta hai.
I'm awake at 4 in the morning, so.
The same 90% of the audience who say that I want to get up early in the morning, it would be very nice if I could do it, and I could study, and I could exercise, I could do meditation, whatever, or take an early morning walk. And the same person also says, I like sleeping in the morning. Now what happens is, here is what I want to do, here is what I like doing, and there's a pull. They're pulling in opposite directions. This is the problem. And what Sri Krishna says is, here you have to take a decision. And decision is, suppose A and B. If I ask you to choose, please come. Make a choice in any way, give any sign or symbol, anyone. Correct. So this is what we normally do. What's your name? Ritambar. Okay, thank you. Normally that's what we do. We decide something, okay, I'll choose this one, or we do this, or something. But decision actually means you choose this and you cut this out. What it means is, this one only, and this is no longer an option. Why? Because whenever we make a choice, I choose this one. So what is good for me, I choose. The moment I choose what is good for me, and I sacrifice which is pleasant for me, it's painful. It's painful to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And if it's painful, what happens is, if this is still a viable option, the bed is there, warm and cozy, razai hai, you feel like crawling back into bed. Tomorrow onwards, I will follow the routine, not today.
Procrastination.
That's what happens. And that's because this has not been cut out. It is still available. Very much available. That little sweet marshmallow. Did you notice one boy was looking away like this, or one girl was looking all the time? Why? I will not look at it. It's not available to me. It's not in front of me.
Like I was saying about the kids, that I'll leave the room, that way the temptation is not there, and that way I'm not tempted to do it. When you get back, then I can come back with you. That way I remove temptation from the option.
This is a decision. That's the correct way to do it. I will not look at it. I will not take it. Whatever happens, I will not take it. But
the problem is, though, at least with the kid, the girl, though, it's not looking at it. In her mind, she knows it's there, and the fact that she knows she's right next to it, so she's not literally removing temptation. But I get what he's saying, though. You know, you have to remove yourself from that room. Then you know in your mind it's not right there. You know it's in that room, even though it's still there. It's a lot further than just arm reach away.
So decision. In fact, this one comes from Caesar. You know Caesarean operation? Caesare. To cut. It means to cut. Decision means not to select. It means to cut. To cut what you are not going to do. So you remove it from your life. This will not be there anymore. This will not be there anymore. And this is the only one available. There's no question of going to this one anymore. And that's how you take a decision.
How would you remove your bed, though? You know, you get up, you're like, well, actually, I think in one of the stories, in one of the videos, I said, like, it was actually explaining about the dream, the waker in a dream world where, you know, I wake up, I'm like, man, I gotta pee, but I'd rather go to sleep. And I decide to go to sleep even though I know I need to go pee. I don't know, just decisions to be made, I don't know why I even brought that up, but it's a decision that you made, even though definitely need to go use the bathroom, but I just hope not to wake up one day with a wet bed. Hopefully it's not a bad decision.
Says, you take a decision and you select each time you put the Shreya instead of the prayer.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, okay, now I can go back to my example. Yeah, there's no way to remove the P from the equation there. It's going to be there until I execute that.
Now what happens when you do this? It's not easy.
Yeah,
it takes
definitely
time,
not.
and at first you won't be able to do it because it's a very small gap between unconscious desires and expressed. Usually it happens, after that you regret it. But if you have this knowledge in the background of your mind, you keep thinking about it, very soon you will understand why it is happening in your life. And with this decision making power, if it increases over the time, you begin to control it. And sometimes you'll be surprised to see at that moment you're able to control it. So the traffic policeman is working. Most of you have done it. Because you are in such an institute, you have made sacrifices in your study life. Whereas your batchmates did not, you did it. So you can do it. It's possible. It's there. And one more thing I'll add to this. It's in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali.
I will say, yeah, I mean, I do this with my diet a lot too, especially when I did the the fasting diet. Now, mind you, fasting for like, what is it, 16 hours every day. It's amazingly, I never really I never did what he said though, like completely remove the probability, because it's always there, but I choose not to do it. I fight the urge. It becomes easier as your body adapts to it, so it's not really becoming necessarily a decision. But as you do it, it becomes easier just to stay consistent with it. Although I say I kind of went off of it, though I should get back on it. But yeah, even though he's saying that to choose one and eliminate the other, for me, I mean, you gotta understand, like especially just things that are always in your life, you can never really, truly cut it out. You have to choose to not do whatever it is, because it's impossible to cut out. Like, just say food, for example. It's your house is probably, you have food in your house. You can't say I'm going to throw away all the food. That's wasting money there, and I'm only going to buy whenever I'm hungry. It's not going to happen. So, but I guess there are other choices that you can make that you can eliminate the other choice. I'm not sure though.
Says samskara.
But maybe it's not necessarily to eliminate it, but just to know to choose one.
Vritti.
And to, in your mind, remove the other choice.
Evam vritti samskara chakram avartamanam. He says, this is a conscious level. Vritti means thought. And samskara means your conditions, impressions, subconscious mind. This is subconscious mind. And Patanjali Yoga Sutra, there is a commentary by Vyasa. There he makes this point. Our thoughts are coming up constantly. Where are they coming from? Our subconscious conditionings. Where do these conditionings come from? From our thoughts. What you think, that goes back as samskara. What is in samskara? That bubbles up as thoughts. Now, by this method, 3 stages, what you are doing is, samskara you cannot change directly. You are not aware of it. Where is it? What is it? We are not aware. But these ones we are aware of. If you consciously keep on replacing these thoughts with positive thoughts, with noble thoughts, with thoughts which are beneficial for you, positive, noble, constructive, slowly these will go back and become samskaras. Over time, you will find good thoughts bubbling up. I read the story of a Buddhist meditation exercise. The Buddhist monk, is sitting in meditation, and his teacher told him, here is a bowl, and here is a heap of black stones, here is a heap of white stones. And every time you sit for meditation 1 hour or 2 hours, and every time a negative thought, anger, jealousy, passion, something comes up in your mind, you take a black stone and put it in that bowl. Every time a good thought, maitri, karuna, peace, happiness, it comes in your mind, take a white stone and put it in the bowl. In the first few months, every day you would sit for meditation, and it will be mostly after 1 hour of meditation, the only black stones would be there in the bowl, 1 or 2 white stones. over the months, he saw that balance is changing. Because he's practicing this, he's replacing at the level of conscious thought, he's replacing. So there's a traffic policeman working here, and he's replacing, he's cutting off the negative thought and replacing with good thoughts. What happens is, over a few months, he found more and more white stones he's putting. In 1 hour meditation, he's putting more white stones and lesser black stones. And after a period of 1 or 2 years, he found mostly white stones and no black stones, or very few black stones. Now, this is what happens. The subconscious gets purified. Then the job becomes easier. Then you don't have to struggle so much. The thoughts which come are automatically mostly Shreya, good for your life. I remember one thing which I put here. I made a table. I've told the story a number of times. The first time I put it in the table. I'll tell you the story first, then you'll make sense. I was in Gangotri a few years back. After taking sannyasa, I thought, Ramakrishna Mission monks, we have got schools and colleges and ashrams and hospitals. So day and night we are working. We do a lot of work. Most of the people think, the monks, you have it easy, Maharaj, aram se rehte hain aap. We do a lot of work, plenty of work. I remember when I first became a monk, a brahmachari, first thing they told me after 3 days after I joined in Deoghar, I was a newcomer, and then the senior monk told me, first I'll tell you in Bengali, অনেক অন্ন ধ্বংস হয়েছে, এবার গিয়ে কিছু কাজ করো, ওই হস্টেলটা আছে 40টা ছেলে আছে গিয়ে দেখো, you've eaten free food for a long time, 3 days, now time to do some work. Here is a hostel with 40 boys, you go and look after them. I thought, if I had in samsara, I had gotten married, I would have got 1 or 2 children. Now 40 children, I have to look after 40 children. And it started like that. So I thought, let me be, after taking sannyas, let me wander like a traditional monk, of the old days. I'll take bhiksha, I'll beg for food, sleep under a tree, whatever comes, kutia. So I went up to Gangotri, 10,000 feet. The higher you go, more spiritual you are. So, that's what they think. Stay higher, and bahut tapasvi mahatma hai. One person is to stay beyond Tapovan, Gangotri, Gomukh, Tapovan. That's 14,000, 15,000 feet. I asked him, what was it like? He said, personally, I'll tell you, it was hell.
Lack of air.
There's no chance of spiritual practice, because just to survive it is difficult. It's months at an end. Anyhow, I was in Gangotri. I used to live in a little kutia, wooden cabin. I don't know how many would like to stay there. It was very beautiful scenery, but no furniture. You have to sleep on the floor. Only thing you have got, razai, this blankets, 3 or 4 on the ground you put it, and 3 or 4 on top of yourself. No bedding, nothing. No electricity, no table, chair, nothing. And there's only one small window. If you open it, it's like having 6 air conditioners blowing at you at once. So you have to close that. And if you close that, it is so dark inside. I used to open my eyes and do this. I couldn't make out whether my eyes were open or closed. I couldn't see anything. And only sometimes you can see the static electricity sparks from the clothes. In winter, and the static electricity is there from woolen clothes. There, a monk, I met a sadhu who was living there for many years. One day he was sitting next to me near the Ganga. Those who have gone there must have seen it's very narrow but very fast, torrential, flows very fast. And that was autumn, around this time, July, August. And he told me, they're telling me the difference between the mind of a Vishayi, worldly person, and a yogi. What is the difference? If you do this practice for a long period of time, what will be the difference? He says, he told me, I'll tell you in Hindi and then translate into English. Mahatma ji, idhar aiye, dekhiye, ye Ganga ji ko dekh rahe hain. He says, you look at this Ganga now in rainy season. What is there? There's a lot of water, fast flowing water, very turbulent and dirty because a lot of landslides are there and soil gets deposited, it's brownish. So he says, this water is, there's a lot of water and it flows very fast, it's very dangerous. If you put your foot in it, you'll be swept away, you'll simply be killed. There's no way of coming out of it anymore. And you cannot drink this water. You cannot give it to anybody to drink, you can't drink it yourself also. And then he told me, in winter, this same Ganga, this is because it's mostly frozen. There's snow up to here, ice, and there's very little water. and the water it flows slowly, and it's crystal clear. He said, if there's a bridge, there are two bridges in fact over that in Gangotri. He said, if you throw up, he said, chawani phek denge, upar se you can see what denomination of the coin it is. So clear, like glass. He told me, देखो ये विषय का मन जैसा है ना ये गंगा जी. There's so much water, and a Vishayi, worldly person's mind, full of many thoughts, good and bad, many thoughts. Similar, just like so much water is flowing. Second, he says, it's so fast. Just as the Ganga is dangerous in this autumn rainy season, a Vishayi person's mind is dangerous. Anytime, anything, it can happen. So many times we regret saying certain things, doing certain things. Why? Because our mind said it and it seemed like the right thing to do at that time, or we could not resist it and we did it. And it can be very dangerous. In IITs itself, once in a while we see in the papers, this boy or girl committed suicide. And I read a story, not a story, this very famous American novelist, William Styron. He's written a book, Journey into Darkness. He was a schizophrenic and sometimes suicidal. Because he's a novelist, he could write very well. Memoirs of Darkness, Memoirs of Darkness, Memoirs of Madness, sorry, Memoirs of Madness, William Styron, Memoirs of Madness. At one time he was going to commit suicide and he's written vividly. He said absolutely, it felt like I have to commit suicide now. There's no other way. And somehow he was saved. He was put under medication and all that. Later on, he said, I didn't understand why I was going to commit suicide at that time. There's no reason at all. This is the mind. So dangerous. It can sweep you into destruction, addiction, spoil relationships, spoil your career, everything. That same mind. And third point, he said, just like the Ganga is polluted now, lot of mud is there, our thoughts are also polluted. So many kinds of thoughts. This water, he said, इसको खुद नहीं पी सकते, किसी को पिला भी नहीं सकते, जो पानी अभी जा रहा है. And he said, our people's minds are like that. They don't get peace. And those around them also don't get peace from them.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird. Again, this goes back for me to being responsible for yourself, understanding what you're doing. That's why I always try to understand things. I always ask questions. I ask so many questions because I have to fully understand it. How I accept something is based on how I understand it. And basically, if I don't understand it, I have to ask a lot of questions. But also, what he just said here about the people around you and how you or they influence you, which is kind of weird because I've looked at this some time ago where they have specialized housing around in America to help out those who are poor, but it has not worked. They end up putting a lot of people who are poor together and they end up just still staying poor. But recently they've put poor people in say middle class neighborhoods, and it has been successful. They have worked their way up. They were no longer poor. They were doing a lot better than people who were in their same boat but put in with a different crowd of people. So that's very interesting. Whenever I saw that, I was like, that's pretty cool. I'm glad to figure this out so they can start doing this more, I don't know what it is that maybe they see other people doing well, so they inspire to like, I want to be like them. Or not be like them, but I want to do as good as them, not be like them. Don't ever be like someone. Inspire to be as good or better. Inspire to be better version of yourself. That's better. But yeah, say like they're doing good. I want to do good. I need to do good. But yeah, when he was saying that, yeah, that's something I've also seen and noticed.
Opposite, he said, जाड़े में कभी आएंगे महात्मा जी तब गंगा जी को देखिएगा. When you come in winter, I'll show you Ganga then. He says, very little water, very few thoughts are there in the mind of a yogi. Not that he's mindless. Very few thoughts. We have got lot of unconnected thoughts flowing through us continuously, distorted, habitual thoughts. Those are not there in the mind of a yogi. It is safe. Just like the Ganga, he says you can cross over. It's so little water is there, it's absolutely safe. You can walk across, he says. And the yogi's mind is very safe. It's not harmful to him or to anybody else. And third, He says पानी मीठा है, खुद पी सकते हैं, दूसरों को भी पिला सकते हैं. And he says the mind of a yogi is like that. It's always at peace, serene, and others who come into contact with that person also get that peace. I have seen some of the senior monks of the Ramakrishna order I have met, and outside also other sadhus, good sadhus. Just to be with them, you feel uplifted. You need not go and discuss something spiritual about with them. You simply be with them, exchange a few words, you feel uplifted. Or simply sit near them. There's something in an atmosphere about them which is so much of serenity and calmness is there. It transforms your mind, at least for some time. But that is due to that person, not our own. There was a very great Swami, and one Swami who used to stay with that Swami, who was a disciple of Ma Sharda. And this person who told me, he said, I used to stay with that Swami and my mind was at such a high plane all the time. And I felt I had achieved something. And that Swami, he was staying in the room, there was some medicine. The spirit is there for swabbing and all, disinfection. So there's a stick with cotton wrapped around it, which is kept in the spirit. And that Swami took out that stick and he said, look, this has the smell of that disinfectant, the spirit. After some time, if you keep it aside, it will go away, that smell. It does not belong to the stick. Similarly for you, you are with me. Don't think that you have achieved something spiritually. Day I die, after a few months you will find whatever you were earlier, you are that only. You have to earn it yourself. Anyhow, the point is such people can radiate spirituality. खुद भी पी सकते हैं, दूसरों को भी पिला सकते हैं. You get peace, others also get peace.
Heard that too. It goes with the workplace too, where there's this. If there's someone in there that comes in there so toxic and they start screaming, yelling, or just bad to deal with, it kind of infects people, and like it kind of happens to them too sometimes. Let's say all the time, but it does. I've heard that happen. I've heard people say that where it turns the workplace into something bad, because I guess that person's toxic and no one wants to talk around them, because it all depends on what that person does, and it just turns the workplace into a kind of hostile or not pleasant place to work.
This is the point. I can go on, there's more to it, but we have almost run out of time. I'll stop here. I'll sum up. I have said only one thing today. And they say that you have heard of the concept of take-home salary. After all the deductions and all that thing, what you take home, the amount you take home, that's called your take-home salary. So what is your take-home from today's talk? Your take-home from today's talk is, it's a central question of anybody's life. I have certain goals in life, I have to go towards it. How do I get the discipline, the control over my life to go towards it? You understand what sweeps you away from that? The samskaras from inside, which are expressed in thought, speech and action. These sweep me away. At the level of samskara I cannot control, and I am not aware. At the level of action, difficult to control, already expressed. Answer, he says, tayor na vashamagachet. Don't come under the sway of your raga dvesha. They are being expressed in thought, word and action. Before that happens, there is a window of opportunity. Be the traffic policeman there. Even if you cannot do it consciously right now, at least reflect on what happened. As you reflect, that conscious window comes in control. In fact, meditation is helpful in that. There was a neuroscientist from Nimhans, Bangalore, who showed that actually he mapped the reactions of those who meditated for a long time, for several years, and he found the reactions are less from the autonomic nervous system, more from the conscious centers. That means they decide what they are going to think, they decide what they are going to say, they decide what they are going to do. Most of our cases we are on autopilot, default setting. Whatever is there, it gets expressed. So that is the point I want to share with you.
Honestly, it seems like meditation is the answer for a lot of things. Honestly, it probably is. I mean, the way I think of meditation is just a couple of things: way to calm yourself, to think about what you've done, and to think about a solution without constantly just acting, which what he's saying is basically autopilot, reacting to things instead of having to constantly react. Why not just take a break, think about things, calm yourself so you don't do anything you regret, and then once you find a good solution, act on a solution instead of being so reactive.
It's Duryodhana, Arjuna, or those little children, or us students, or Swami Sarvapriyananda, or anybody, whatever our aim in life, this is a very interesting and very important thing to understand. This gap, level 2, between level 1 and level 3, there is a level 2 which we must capitalize on. We must gain control over that level. This is the talk for today. We have almost run out of time, nearly 7. If you have got questions, I'll deal with it. Tomorrow and day after, I will go much deeper. No videos, no PowerPoint, because I don't like this, because it interferes. You know, the audience is constantly looking there, sometimes at me. So I'll shut that down. I'll speak to you directly. Tomorrow's topic is purposeful life with Vedanta. What is the aim or purpose of human life? What does Vedanta say? Who am I? We deal with that at the deepest level, a very profound question. And I will show you actual steps. You will travel with me to the level of the body, mind, and beyond to the Atman.
So I guess I already did the who am I portion of this video, which I guess I did it out of order, but who am I is a very interesting video. So I guess then there's the part 2, purpose of life. I don't think I did his of that, which I do have to do now. Not now, but soon.
How we can have a deep, immediate experience, sakshat, what they say. So that we will do tomorrow. And beyond that, on Monday, message of the Upanishads, I have selected Kena Upanishad. That is, as students say, engineers, hardcore. So that is hardcore Vedanta. So that is even more serious. I'll deal with Kena Upanishad. How to spiritualize every moment of life. I say about that topic especially, it's a dangerous topic, because once you go through that, if you just follow me, if you just follow the scripture, what I will tell, it's irreversible. You can't change it anymore. It's already done. Whether you like it or not, you have stepped irreversibly into another way of thinking. You cannot come back anymore. So that sounds ominous. It's not ominous. It's actually very interesting and very life-changing actually. Thank you very much.
I definitely have to look into that one. Life-changing? Man.
And I'll take a few questions. Anybody? Yeah.
What happens is for some
Just tell your name and Shutanu. Yes.
For some days we control ourselves.
Yes.
And then in a small thing we lose and we feel like we are going back to zero.
Yeah.
Is faith really something, or what is the way out?
Yeah. Question Shutanu asked is very important. We practice something, then we stop. Whatever it is. So is it lost? We feel frustrated after some time. Or is something saved? If you look,
Well, I'll say it's kind of like there's a saying, and it's like riding a bike. When you learn how to ride a bike, you don't lose the skill necessarily. It's just that you have to refresh yourself when you get back. I'll say 20 years you haven't ridden a bike, and then you just hop back on. You're gonna be a little rusty, but it'll come back to you.
look at this theory,
Or is he talking about something else different?
vritti and samskara, what you practice consciously, you think certain things, say certain things, and do certain things, that is added. It's never lost. Arjuna, in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he asks this question: Krishna, you're telling me to practice meditation, spiritual practices and all, but suppose I don't get jnana in this life, if I don't get spiritual realization in this life, then have I lost both this worldly life and also spiritual life? I did not get that realization, Atma Jnana, Nirvana, Moksha, whatever, and I did not enjoy life in this world. I've given up certain things in this world. Have I lost both? Ubhaya vibhrashta. So from both sides I'm lost. And Krishna gives a clear answer: Nahi kaschid kalyanakrita kaschid durgatim tata gacchati. Kalyanakrit, the person who walks on the path of spirituality, spiritual welfare, he never goes to destruction. So this is always added up. If you practice something, let it go, fine. It is there. Next time you practice, whatever you have practiced earlier comes to your aid. So you get up at 5 o'clock and hold on to it for at least 21 days. What it does is, it becomes a habit. So habit has its own inertia. Then it becomes easier to wake up after that, at 5 o'clock or 5:30 in the morning. If you do for 2-3 days and abandon it, it remains equally difficult. It's like, if you want to jump across a ditch, you have to take one big jump. You can't take few small jumps, because you'll fall in the ditch if you try to do that. So you want to make a new habit, you have to push for 21 days. 21 days is just a figure, 1 month. So both ways, what you do, it is saved, but it's better to do it hold on to it and do it for some time. Yeah. Question?
Like my diet. I stopped it and now it's hard to get back onto it.
Anybody? Yeah. What's your name?
My name is Anurag.
Anurag.
You were telling us that the things which are right or wrong or good or bad depends on what the person wants to achieve.
Yeah.
Should there not be a thing about morality in all this?
Yeah.
Because a person might want to achieve something bad,
Yeah.
and his good might be bad for others.
Yeah.
So
they say morality. In fact, in yoga, these are the 5 things they say: ahimsa, satya, satyam, and brahmacharya, asteya, aparigraha. These are the 5 main vows which we as monks also take, and those who want to be yogis, they should practice to some degree. They must practice all of this. Non-violence, not hurting others in thought, speech, and action.
Dang. Okay, that's
you know
hard.
the vow in medicine, those who become doctors, first, do no harm. This is the vow. The oath they take is first, do no harm. Especially important for doctors. Whatever treatment they do, first they must see, at least we don't make things worse.
Yeah.
Similar, ahimsa is this. Whatever you can do for others, or you cannot do, that's later on, but at least don't harm others. And so this is ahimsa. Truth in thought, word, and deed. And then brahmacharya, self-control. Self-control in all aspects of sense enjoyments. It's different for a householder and for a sannyasi. Of course, the levels are different, but everybody is expected to have certain amount of self-control. Asteya, non-stealing, never taking what was not due to you. That goes at all levels, from not taking money, stealing money from others, or breaking copyright, software piracy, or whatever. It's across the board. Levels of non-stealing. And aparigraha, not taking gifts. Very interesting. If you want to practice yoga, you should be independent. Don't go out for handouts. Don't take things because it's just available for free. It seems it has an effect on the mind. I'm reminded of a story.
Is that not begging too? Because begging is asking for free stuff, and he said he went to do begging.
A very senior
Right.
monk, the one monk about whom I told you about that stick in the disinfectant, Swami Premeshanandaji is a disciple. He was a disciple of Holy Mother Ma Shanta. Somebody, when he was an old monk, somebody bought him a walking stick, wanted to present, and he said, "No, thank you, I don't need it." He kept on insisting, "Maharajji, you please take it. I don't want anything from you. Please take it. I'll be just happy if you just accept it. Then you do whatever you want." He said, "No, I don't want it. I don't want anything in return. Just take it. I'll be very unhappy if you don't accept the gift." Then that Swami said, "You don't want anything from me?" "No, I don't want. Really, I don't want anything in return from you." He's holding the stick. He says in Bengali, "Tawale bhenge di? Let me break it in front of you." And he got a shock. Why did you react like that? You expect something, subconsciously at least, because I'm giving a gift to you. You don't expect me to tear it up or break it in front of me. See, So there is something that a person always wants when he or she gives something to you. So a yogi is not supposed to take gifts. Of course, wherein you are in society, you have to be balanced towards it. I mean, you just can't say that you have a birthday party and you say, I will not take any gifts from anybody. You give something back immediately. You give something back.
So I wonder what about begging though? I mean, begging is asking. Is that different?
I remember. Yeah, question. Well, why I just finish. Why I said these? The question was about morality. Where is? Yeah, these are called sarvabhauma vrata, universal vows. These are not matters of choice. To some extent, to be a decent person, you have to follow all of these at some level. At some level, you have to follow all of these. To be a yogi, you must follow them at a very high level. But to have a decent life, you must follow all of these.
I do follow most of those to a degree.
Why? Why these are not matters of choice? You call them moral laws, but somebody asked me, students often ask, moral laws, you are calling them laws, but they are not laws like gravity. Satyam, I can tell an untruth, I can tell a lie. How is it a law? How is it a law? I can break the law. Tell the truth, it's a law, but I can tell an untruth. It's not like the law of gravity which I can't break. The answer is very beautiful. He says you can't break these laws, you can only break yourself against these laws. The more you violate them, the more you are destroying yourself.
Wow. Yeah, wow. I mean, generally I do try to follow those actually amazingly. First, do no harm. Of course, again, I've said this in other videos where, you do whatever pleases you so long as you're not harming anyone else. Harming yourself, I guess that technically counts as harming someone. I don't know in terms of their things, but hey, look, if you're doing it to yourself, just don't really, honestly. But, I try not to harm anyone, obviously. Thinking about not harming someone, I don't think about trying to harm anyone. Let me reposition here. But, of course, there's going to be times where people are irritating and then you're like, just trip and fall real quick. Then, not to lie, yeah, try not to lie. I mean, I don't see the point in that. It's too hard to lie, I'm too lazy, so lying's difficult, it's something you have to keep up with. I don't accept gifts, well, I mean, I don't ask for gifts, and when people offer me stuff, I generally don't accept it, unless I want to try it out myself. Like, sometimes some coworkers offer me some, hey, here, you want to try this? I'm like, nah, that's okay. Not because I don't want to, it's because of diet. And what's the other ones? That's first to do harm. Well, let's just keep going. I can't remember.
The effect is on the psyche. It's not physical effect. It's on your character, on your psyche, on your reputation with your colleagues and your family and others. So yes, morality is a fact. It's not a choice. Okay. Question.
Just hold on.
Yeah.
Before taking up the next question. So we have a bookstall outside, and there are some free books for distribution available. So anyone of you who is reading out, kindly just take it from the bookstall.
Thank you. The Maharaji has come from the ashram. Now, the free books is different from aparigraha. You can happily accept the free good books because that is spiritual knowledge. That is spiritual knowledge. Yeah, there's one thing you can give freely and accept freely. That is spiritual knowledge, definitely. Please do avail of the opportunity because Maharaji has come with a lot of difficulty from the ashrama in Kanpur city. Yeah, question.
My name is Gita.
Yeah.
Sir, my question is, as you have told, to filter our mind, to have a less thought in my mind, and the way you say that meditation is a way. So, what is really meditation?
Meditation. It's a huge subject. Tomorrow we'll go through one method of meditation. It's a very sophisticated method of meditation in Jnana Yoga. Meditation, the classic book for meditation is Yoga Sutra, Patanjali Yoga Sutra. And the best explanation and translation is Raja Yoga by Swami Vivekananda. It's one of the first books which attracted me when I came into spiritual life. Before I joined as a monk, and as a student, I used to read this book a lot. I'm sure it's available outside. Patanjali Yoga Sutras, it's a classic text of meditation techniques, and in fact, the vast range of meditation techniques you see in the world today, especially in the Hindu traditions, not so much in the Buddhist traditions, and there are similarities. They are all drawn from the Patanjali Yoga Sutras in some form or the other. And there, to answer your question, what is meditation? In the second sutra, meditation is defined. What is yoga? Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is control of the cessation of the modification of the mind. Vritti, this one, the thoughts, feelings, emotions, ideas which keep on bubbling up all the time. Cessation of that is meditation, and there are techniques for that. So many techniques are there. Now you'll ask, what is the use of cessation of the vrittis? What's the purpose? What happens when all thoughts cease? Thoughts do cease when you fall asleep, and it happens in classes sometimes.
I would say the purpose would be to have a calm mind, to have a clear mind. I would assume.
But if you consciously do that, you are conscious and aware, but the thoughts have ceased. Is it possible? It's very much possible, and it's quite easy also. For some time it's quite easy at least. What happens? The idea is in the third sutra it is given. Second sutra, yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is cessation of the thoughts. Third sutra, tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. The drashta, the sakshi, remains in its true nature at that time. At what time? When all the thoughts have subsided. Swami Vivekananda says in the commentary, you will read, like a lake which is absolutely without any waves, and the water is very clear, you can see the bottom of the lake. When it's in waves and it breaks out into waves, or the water is muddy, you can't see the bottom of the lake.
Yeah.
Similarly, in a mind, the lake of the mind, when it's absolutely calm and clear, you can see who you are. See means in the sense you can experience it, a kind of immediate experience. That is the purpose of meditation, and for this many techniques are there. If there are thoughts, what happens? The fourth sutra says, vritti sarupyam itaratra. When there are thoughts in the mind, you become identified with the thoughts. I am so and so, I am happy, I am sad, I understand what this guy is saying, I don't understand what this guy is saying, I like this, I don't like this, I want this, I don't want this. These are all thoughts, and you become identified with that. I am this. But the pure I, without all this, just I am, that can be experienced when the mind is without thoughts. That is the purpose. And that is what is called Atma Jnana or Swarupa Jnana. Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. Drashta means the sakshi, the witness. Witness stays in its own nature. This is the essential idea of meditation. All kinds of meditation. Nowadays meditation is used for relaxation. You can use it.
Yeah.
Hypertension control, stress management. I do seminars on stress management, and I use meditation also. Within 20-25 minutes you will have so much level of relaxation which you have never experienced in your life. Wonderful. But that is not the original purpose of meditation. In these books, especially Patanjali Yoga Sutra, nowhere it is said for stress management do meditation. Maharshi Mahesh Yogi, who popularized transcendental meditation in the West, once he was asked, this is not the purpose of meditation, why are you teaching this? To remain calm, to control hypertension, to manage stress, to remain young and good looking and healthy. All these are effects. Does this really happen? He says, yes, it happens. But these are not the purpose of meditation. Where is it said these are the purposes of meditation? Why are you teaching this? So he gave a very interesting answer. He said about Americans, he had gone to the West. He said, I give them what they want so that they will want what I want to give them. I give them what they want. They want calmness, they want rest, they want relaxation, they want stress management, they want to live long and young. Okay, it is possible. I will give you all that. as they practice that and get the benefits, they become more and more curious about the real purpose of this yoga.
I was thinking that it's like a kind of like a bait and switch almost, kind of, but not in that negative sense, but more along the lines of getting someone interested in something just enough so they start becoming more interested into what they're doing.
Which I want to give them. Then they want what I want to give them. So I like that response. But then you should progress to that level. You should not get satisfied with just the superficial advantages which you get. Take one more question. Yeah.
I want to ask that brahmacharya does only mean that we do not have to marry anyone or...
No. As I said, brahmacharya means self-control. Control of sensuous, of your senses, of sense pleasures. So this is a whole range. It depends upon what you are. If you are right now a student, so there is a moral code of conduct for you. If you are a married person, so you have relations with your husband, wife, and it's limited to that. That is what, in fact, what is normally considered to be decent or moral in society, that is actually based on brahmacharya. Any religion, it's not just yoga or Hinduism. In Buddhism, in Islam, and in Christianity, everywhere you have a code of conduct. Basically what that code of conduct always does, that morality always does, it puts a limit. It always is in the form of a limit. Thou shalt not do this. You shall not exceed this limit.
Boy, he'd be in contradiction with Osho. Osho was talking about, I don't want responsibilities, I don't want limitations, I want to do whatever I want. Two different ideologies there. Osho being free of all responsibilities, yet somehow he believes that you are responsible for yourself. It is a responsibility, but at the same time it is not, because you're responsible for yourself in terms of making you happy. And if not being responsible makes you happy, then you're responsible for not being responsible, which is contradictory. But he's saying all these things are limitation, that are basically restrictions or responsibilities that you have to have in order to be this decent person, which is, wow, contradictory.
It's always a control. That is brahmacharya. It applies to all kinds of sensual enjoyment. It may be eating a rasgulla to any kind of sensual enjoyment. Code of conduct for a monk, again, is more strict, like that.
Osho's not a monk then.
Any more? No more questions? Yes, please.
Is it like subconscious mind
Yes.
and your chitta are same or different? Because there is a lot of debate is there, it's not same.
One, chitta has two meanings. It means the mind. It also means actually the subconscious mind, the storehouse. Subconscious mind is a recent term, maybe in the 19th, 20th century it has come up, especially Freudian psychology. So chitta corresponds to the subconscious mind. Chitta also corresponds to the mind in general. I mean, it's used in both senses.
People say sense mind, sensual mind.
Yes.
And then chitta, they are different. Of course, in English, it is a little difficult.
For example, in two ways I'll give you. In Vedanta Sara, if you see, mind has got four aspects: chitta, ahamkara, buddhi, and manas.
Manas,
Manas is the sensual mind. Buddhi is the intellect, the vijnana. Ahankara is the ego function. You feel right now, I, that is ahankara. Chitta is the storehouse of impressions, vasanas. So that's the fourfold division of mind in Vedanta Sara. In Patanjali Yoga Sutra, when you come, yogas chitta vritti nirodha, there it is not the subconscious mind, there it is the conscious mind. Vritti means the conscious thoughts, cessation of the conscious thoughts. So depending on the context, chitta can have different meanings. In Sanskrit, this is a difficulty. You have to be careful what sense the word is being used. The same word has got different meanings. Atma, you say Atma normally means some kind of spiritual self. Atma also means body. In Sanskrit, Atma just means I. If you feel I am the body, then Atma means body. I remember I'll conclude with this story. I remember I was in the Himalayas. I was begging for, the traditional sadhus, they go for bhiksha. They can go to a village and beg for food. You don't do that. I have the right because I wear this. You are supposed to give me bhiksha if I ask for food, but you should not beg. See, it depends on what you are in society. For me, it is the way of life. I mean, I can ask for it. It will be dharma. But for a person who can earn and who is in society, if he or she goes and begs, it is against dharma. So it depends on the context. Now, if I start earning money and then have a bank balance and start buying my food like that, then it is against dharma, my dharma, for example. Anyway, the point is, I stay in an ashram, so food is cooked in an ashram and we eat in the ashram. So this traditional way of going to a house and begging is really, I'm not very used to it. So the first time I went to somebody's house, so not the first time, one of the beginning. This is in a place called Harshil, about 20 kilometers below Gangotri. There's a mountain. I climbed up that, and there's a village. They stay in summer. They stay in that village, and in winter they go a little down. They do that terrace farming kind of thing. So I went to this village. Village means 3 or 4 houses. This farmer was sitting there, and I went there, and I was too tongue-tied to. We have this way of sadhus have a way of asking for bhiksha. They'll say Om Namo Narayana, like that. They'll say. So I just stood there, and the farmer understood. He said, "Mahatma ji, bhojan hua hai?" I said, "Nahi hua hai." "Khaoge ya leke jaoge?" "Hum khayenge." He said, "Andar aa jao." Then he took me inside, made me sit. Then he served me food. Now, as you can see, I'm a very great eater. So he saw the quantity I was eating. I set aside the rest of the food, and he said, "Mahatma ji, aap तो पंछी जैसा खाते हैं, पहले आत्मा उसके बाद परमात्मा, पहले आत्मा उसके बाद परमात्मा." That means atma is body actually, first body and then God. So in the village tongue there, atma means body. So in Sanskrit, the word can have different meanings depending on the context. So he said, "पहले आत्मा फिर परमात्मा," first body and then God. All right, we'll close here.
Okay. I didn't quite understand that last part because I don't know what language you said it, whether it's Hindu or something else. Probably Hindu. I wish he'd translate. He usually does translate things so you can understand it. Alright, so that's my reaction to Bhagavad Gita for students. Interesting for sure. And something I definitely would like to start, well, not necessarily practicing, but most of those are already kind of naturally practiced. Although, and some of them I've practiced before in terms of the police, traffic control police. But again, because I practice it doesn't mean it meant anything other than just to try to curb the urges or to continue on. Like right now, honestly, right now I want to buy me a smartwatch. I hate myself, but I want to buy me a smartwatch that has NFC so I can do, like, you know, tap the pay with the watch, and also to control some of my smart devices in the house. Because I try to make my life a little bit easier if possible. I search for deals and everything, and there's a watch that's like really affordable, well, relatively affordable in a way. But I already have a smartwatch that does most of the things that I want. So far, I've done a good job at not getting it, but it's very difficult to fight the urge to get it, because I think if I get it, I can ease that urge, but that's not a good reason to get the watch. I'm constantly fighting it. I don't know if I can ever just remove that urge. It's very difficult. I'm always constantly fighting it. Not always constantly. Should I say, I've had many urges like this before, and I have eliminated them before. Again, I mean, this is something I'm sure everyone does. I've won more battles than lost on those urges for now, but nonetheless, I still have lost battles to my urges. I gotta get better at it. Gotta get better at it. Anyway, that's my reaction to Bhagavad Gita for students. The next one was The Purpose of Life of his. I don't think I've heard his. I can't remember. I know I've had Osho's and Sadhguru's. can't remember if I've had others. But I definitely, if I've not watched it, I definitely want to watch it. I gotta look at my YouTube videos and remind myself. It's been a little bit. So anyways, if you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.